Nahum 1, verse 11. There is one come out of thee that imagineth evil against the Lord, a wicked counselor. Okay, the one that imagines evil against the Lord. Probably Sennacherib in type. Or Nebuchadnezzar. Any of those empires that come and take over Israel. In order to do it, they've been imagining evil against them. I'd also include Pharaoh, although he didn't get much territory when he tried it. He did come up a few times, and remember when Judah tried to make a league with him, and that didn't go over too well. We got it in 2 Kings 19. Second Kings 19, verse 22. This one, Sennacherib, is coming against Israel. Here's the reply to him. Whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed? And against whom hast thou exalted thy voice and lifted up thine eyes on high? Even against the Holy One of Israel. So it was something against God. It wasn't just merely go and take land and collect more goodies and subjugate people. There was something demonic in it. And you can see it all the way through history when nations turn against Israel for no reason. I know what the reason is. It's satanic. Because that's the line Jesus Christ came from, and one day he's coming back. And he's promised he's going to keep that nation forever. So, guess the devil's going to be after it forever. Nahum 1, verse 12. Nahum 1, verse 12. Y'all make note of that. We only added one cross-reference. Nahum 1, verse 12. It's because I'm going to re-hit all these verses in a minute. 2 Kings 19, 22. Nahum 1, verse 12. Thus saith the Lord, though they be quiet, and likewise many, yet thus shall they be cut down, when he shall pass through. Though I have afflicted thee, I will afflict thee no more. Okay. Most people are going to tell you it reads like this. You look at your Bible and I'll give you some phony. Thus the Assyrian host, though it be at rest, and be numerous, shall be cut down by the angel of the Lord, when Sennacherib passes away back to his house. Now, that's not Bible, but that's the meaning that most people take out of that verse. Look at it in 2 Kings 19 again. 2 Kings 19, verse 35. Second Kings 19, verse 35. Okay. He says, verse 35. And it came to pass that night that the angel of the Lord went out and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 180,500. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. It's the kind of corpse you want to see. I'd hate for a corpse not to be dead. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh. Okay. Now, you would have to say that what he's meaning by them being quiet and all that stuff is that they're dead. Maybe, maybe not. I don't think that's the meaning of it. Meaning quiet in Nahum, meaning resting, living without opposition, not having problems. So the Assyrian comes in when Israel is quiet. That's right. Israel thinks they've made a league with Egypt, and they think they're protected. They've been paying their racket fee, protection fee. Isaiah 10. Isaiah 10, verse 5. The multitude is probably not the Assyrian. The multitude that's referred to is probably Israel. Israel has multiplied. Isaiah 10, verse 5. O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger and the staff in mine hand is mine indignation. I will send him against an hypocritical nation. Against a people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take the spoil, and to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. Verse 16. Therefore shall the Lord of hosts, send among his fat ones leanness, and under his glory shall kindle a burning like the burning of a fire. So he's saying they've gotten fat and happy and lazy and multiplied. And they don't, that's usually what happens. You know, people are not close to God when they've got everything they want. Give them some trouble and some problems, and then they start thinking maybe there's somebody out there that's bigger than this human mess down here. Look at it in Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50, verse 6. It says, My people hath been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them. That's true. Every enemy that found a way in to get to Israel has done that, tried to devastate them. Until recent history. Now, recent history, God's reconstituted that nation after World War II. And now you can see the protecting hand of God on that nation because all of its neighbors have tried to destroy it and sent bombs and everything over there on a regular basis. But God makes sure that they're protected. Verse 7. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord. That's the pot calling the kettle black. We can kill them because they did something bad. The habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. That they trusted God, but they weren't living like Christians, so let's go kill them. Sound like anybody you know? Sounds to me, if you know him, John Calvin. That's exactly what he did. He created, what was the name of his little country he created? Starts with a G or something. I don't know, but that was his deal, is he would hang you. He'd put you in prison, and he did kill one guy because he didn't go along with his righteous rules. Jeremiah 50, verse 11. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, because you're grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. Your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nation shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. So here he's prophesying how he's going to destroy this nation that has begun to flourish. Verse 13, because of the wrath of the Lord it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hissed at all her plagues. God's going to destroy them. He's going to turn around and destroy the destroyer. He likes to do that. He'll pick up a spanking stick. He said in our previous passage, he said, Assyria is the rod in my hand. I needed to give that nation down there a spanking. And so I looked down there and I grabbed me a switch, and it happened to be Assyria. And I switched them real good. And then I decided, I don't want to look at this switch anymore and remember that my people were such idiots. So he tears the switch up. And that's what he does with every nation that comes against Israel. In the end, that's exactly what he's going to do with all the nations of the earth. Nearly all of them have come against Israel at some point. Nahum 1, verse 12. Nahum 1, verse 12. Thus saith the Lord, though they be quiet and likewise many, thus shall they be cut down. When he shall pass through, I will, though I have afflicted thee, I will afflict thee no more. Okay, that presents issues. He's saying whoever he's destroying, he's only going to destroy them at this particular time he's talking about and then not do it again. Who can that be? It can't be during the destruction of Assyria or Babylon. Every time historically that we've got in the Bible that Israel or its enemies have been destroyed, there's a recap. It happens again. It's a sequel that keeps repeating. The only time this can actually apply is in the end, when they will have no chance to repeat itself. So it's got to be either right before the millennium, so the end of the tribulation, or possibly even all the way out to the very end of the millennium, when Satan's loosed from his pit and comes out to destroy and deceive the nations. Then he'll be destroyed for the last time. Nahum 1 verse 13. He says, "For now will I break his yoke from off thee, and will burst thy bonds asunder." The Assyrian, look down at verse 14. "And the Lord hath given a commandment concerning thee, that no more of thy name be sown. Out of the house of thy gods will I cut off the graven image and molten image. I will make thy grave, for thou art vile." That's pretty harsh for him to be saying to a man. Now there have been some vile men, but I'm thinking this is going all the way out to the Antichrist. He's been vile for more years than we've got on the history books. He's been, I'll tell you how long he's been around next time. Because I don't want to just tell you. Well, I'll just tell you anyway. I say that Lucifer's earth lasted for 7,000 years. I'll give you the verse for it next time. And so that means our earth is going to be here for 7,000 years. So he will have been in existence for 14,000 years. That's a long time to be vile, deceptive, and wicked. Imagine all the wickedness you could accomplish and come up with and learn if you had 14,000 years to think of nothing but wickedness. That's Lucifer. That's the devil. Nahum 1 verse 12. "Thus saith the Lord, though they be quiet, and likewise many, thus shall they be cut down." Okay, this is somebody he's so mad at, he's going to destroy. When Sennacherib finishes with Israel, what he does is he runs back to his hometown. Where's that? That's Nineveh. That's the book about what the book of Nahum is about, the destruction of Nineveh. He goes back to Nineveh, and there the Bible tells us that he's killed. He's destroyed by his two sons. We've covered the ancient history on it. Sennacherib passes away, and the Assyrian as a nation continues for almost another 100 years. So this doesn't really fit into God destroying that nation and them never making a peep again. Now he does eventually. There's going to be somebody that is going to fit a little better, though. That's the Antichrist. Nahum 1, look at verse 13. "For now will I break his yoke from off thee, and will burst thy bonds asunder." Okay, Israel never did have their bonds burst asunder. They went from one captivity to the next, to the next. Now, when they are freed from captivity under Cyrus, some of them go back, but many don't. You know what happens when they don't go back? The book of Esther. They're still in captivity. They're still in bonds all over the world. So that still didn't complete it. There's coming a time that all of Israel will be saved, as he says in Romans. Look at Isaiah 10, verse 5. Isaiah 10:5. He says, "O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger and the staff in their hand is mine indignation." This is this. If you really pay attention to what he said, it's scary. He didn't say the staff in my hand is my indignation. He said, the cruel means they use is my indignation. You start seeing the cruelty that the Assyrians put on the Israelites when they came in. I mean, just some heinous things. Ripping out the babies and smashing their heads on the stones. And that's tame compared to some of the stuff they did. And he says right here, their rod is my anger. That's how mad he is. We don't see sin the same way God sees it. Genesis 10, verse 10. Genesis 10, verse 10. Here's where this idolatry, which makes God turn to become someone's enemy, begins. Genesis 10, verse 10. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. I didn't give you the map. I should have. Shinar is Babylon, but it includes more than he's just given you the whole Fertile Crescent there. he's giving you the whole way up. For many years, I showed it on the map the last time we did the video. For many years, it was Assyria who ruled Shinar, Babylon. Originally, all of the Middle East was ruled at some point by Assyria. Assyria was massive. Babylon was a little podunk, regional hotspot. The Assyrian is got his capital at Nineveh, and Nineveh is flourishing. And what the Assyrian does is he goes down to Babylon and gets Babylon back under control. And when he does, he brings up their false god, Marduk. And he sets Marduk in their temple in Nineveh. God says, I can't stand that. Israel has done the same thing. Israel started worshiping other gods. Here's two. We got a mega church and a mega satellite church. One in Dan and one the other place. He says, if it's too far, it's way too far for you to go down there to Jerusalem. I'm going to give you two choices. You've got two false gods you can go worship. And that's what he did. Start worshiping another god, God gets mad. He's a jealous God. He's told that from the beginning. And his jealousy runs hot. Genesis 10, verse 11. Out of that land went forth Asher, and builded Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth and Calneh. Okay, we've connected all the dots. From the very beginning, Assyria and Babylon have always been enemies of God. They've got I didn't give it to you. I was listening through their creation fairy tale. Babylon has a creation fairy tale. And it's very violent. It's one god is destroying the next god and having a child with this god. And that child grows up and beats everybody else up. And they're always fighting for the throne. That's their gods. Now, what a peaceful thing to follow. That's not mine. My God's called the Prince of Peace. You don't need that wickedness. You've got two extremes. You're either going to follow God or you're going to follow the devil. The devil promises peace. He'll say peace, peace, and there is no peace. He's doing it on purpose to destroy. That's what the nations have gone after right now. Phony peace treaties. Why do we want to make peace with anybody? I'll make war with all of them. Mess with me, I'll come kill you. Make it that simple. Then they'll stay away. That's history. That's exactly what's going to happen when Jesus gets back. He's going to rule with a rod of iron. He's the Prince of Peace. It's going to be righteousness first. You're going to get in line with righteousness or I'm going to destroy you. Wow. But now, we can't trust any human to do that. Humans can't do that. They're wicked to begin with. Look at 2 Kings 18. Here's some of these bonds, these shackles that the people have been shackled with. 2 Kings 18, verse 14. And Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent to the king of Assyria to Laish, saying, I have offended. Return from me. That which thou puttest on me will I bear. And the king of Assyria appointed unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. So he says, I think I offended you. Yeah, I made a league with Egypt, and you found out about it, and you just destroyed Egypt. So I think now it's time for me to say I'm sorry. What would you like me to do? That's 2 Kings 18, verse 14. So the king of Assyria says, yeah, I'll forgive you. It's going to cost you, though. Taxation. And so he steals the gold and the silver and from the temple and replaces it with brass, something shiny and appears to be gold, but it's not, so that he can send the tax money on. Look at Isaiah 37. Isaiah 37. He talked about the house of his gods will be no more, and God's going to destroy them. Well, now that would fit with Sennacherib. Sennacherib did have a house of gods, and he does return to his land, and when he returns to his land, he's worshiping in the house of his gods when God does him in. Isaiah 37:38. And it shall come to pass, as he was worshiping in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Dramelech and Sharezer, his sons, smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Armenia. And Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. Great family there. He goes back, but notice where he dies. He dies worshiping a false god. No peace from the beginning. 2 Kings 19, look at verse 37. 2 Kings 19:37. Where were y'all? What verse did I give you? Here's two verses that say the same thing. One is Isaiah 37:38, and one is 2 Kings 19:37. They both are almost word for word. And this is where he dies, in the house of his gods. God destroys them. God's not scared of other false gods. Remember when they take the Ark of the Covenant over there to the Philistines' house of gods, and Dagon can't stay on his wall? He keeps falling apart. That's Humpty Dumpty on the wall. You end up with scrambled eggs every morning. That's exactly what God does. He destroys them. Remember when he went to Pharaoh in Egypt? He came against all of his gods. All the 10 plagues are representative of some god they worship. Kind of like they do in India. If you go to India, there's everything that moves just about can be worshipped as some sort of a god. Who would think a mouse is a god? I squish that thing. And they got animals running all over the streets, and yeah.
Cows are a god.
Yeah, cows.
You can't stop them.
You can't.
Yeah.
If the cow lays down,
That's what happens when your mind goes cuckoo. Man craves to worship something. And if he doesn't have the right thing to worship, he will worship something. But it'll be something that the devil provides. There's only 2 objects of worship that a man can go to, either God or the devil. And even when a man is told by the devil, I'll let you worship yourself, it's a mirage. The self that he's going to end up worshiping is whatever the devil wants him to do. So you got a choice, 1 or 2. And the result is exactly what all the nations have demonstrated. Now, we better stop it there. We better stop there. I'll pick up next week at, remind me, the last verse. Okay, that'll be easy. Nahum 1:15.